Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor. Call you sponsor. Call you sponsor. Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor.
I don't have this one, and you know I love these.
I know. That's why I was like, oh my God, I have to remember for some. I have to remember this acronym.
Let others
voluntarily evolve.
Voluntarily evolve. Voluntarily, I'm writing this down. Wow, evolve.
So good. So I had to share that one. And then, yeah, the other thing left my mind, but it was really good.
And I'm sure that the universe thanks you, and it may come back.
We'll see.
But yeah, the redefining of terms. There's things that I didn't see or chose not to see. There's certain patterns. I don't think this is the first time you heard of DA today, but there are certain things that I'm just aware of, and I just, it's like I am evolving, and different things become more apparent to me at different times as I continue to grow and evolve, and I know for me, the pattern has been anything new and shiny, the new boyfriend, the new job, the new apartment, the new fill in the blank, car, fill in the blank, is always the one that gets the most of my undivided attention, and slowly but surely stay sober, not pick up. I then, find a new calibration and a new balance.
That's so good. That's so good. And I remembered, I think that people who do this, who question themselves on their perception, are the only ones who are growing.
Oof.
Like, just the fact that you say to yourself, like, wait, what is my perception on this? How do I perceive this? Like, let me re-examine this. Those are the only people who are growing. And to me, that is what happened with my parent, is that, she just stopped self-examining. And I'll never forget, like, when she passed away, and I didn't even know that she had passed away, but I got a hit in my chest at the time of her passing. And I got this phrase of, I see it, I missed what it was about. And it's like, so validating, because I could tell she was missing it. But just that I like to be on the journey with people who are self-examining. And one more thing is, I have sponsees that will say, and I'm definitely guilty of this as well, but I've learned to curb it because of my response to everybody I sponsor, when they say, yeah, but I would never do that. And I go, okay, but that's like the most narcissistic statement in the world, because you grew up with different parents in a different city with different, even if you were a brother and sister under the same roof, you had different experiences. So how you would behave in this situation has absolutely no bearing on the situation whatsoever. Like, you can take that thought and you can drive down the highway 80 miles an hour and throw it out the window, because it has absolutely no bearing on a situation ever.
I love you for just saying that, because even twins wouldn't necessarily handle it the same way. You know what I mean? Like, I just, what, I'm really getting from when I just heard you share is this thing of question versus answer, seeking versus knowing, and it's in the former, not the latter, which is where higher power usually is for me.
Oh, that's so good. Yes, that's where the magic can happen, because when I know, then there's no way for magic to enter,
No.
But if I'm seeking or turning it over, letting go of my attachment to the result, there's an opportunity for something bigger than me to come into the situation.
So much. There's so much room for possibility. It's the openness, You know, it's like the contempt prior to investigation. It's, you know, it's like, it's the other side of that. It's the curiosity. It's the wonderment. It's the, oh my God, you know, and it's, I have to say that energy is actually intoxicating.
It's intoxicating. And I want to be around it and I want to be it. And even as you're talking, I'm like, Lord God, make me a channel. Let me always be curious. Let me always be inquisitive. Let me always be, you know, open to the possibility that I may not know the way.
Now, if I could just do that in all my affairs, there are certain times where it still rears its ugly head of like, don't ask what that is. You should know. Like, that's just like my internal thing that's going on. You should know. Oh, you don't ask that. You know what I mean? That's a stupid question. And it's like, it's almost like what I think you've shared, right? The Brene Brown thing of like, we love seeing people vulnerable, like because we identify with them, but then can't be or think I can't be vulnerable myself. It's like that whole thing where I'm like,
it's like you're saying, the energy is intoxicating. It's so attractive in others. But when we contemplate making ourselves vulnerable or saying we don't know, we immediately rush in with a bunch of shame and reasoning and justification as to why we shouldn't expose ourselves or crack ourselves open for that.
Yeah. And if I were to think about, I think for me, a lot of it has to do with safety. And I don't like, you know, in toxic work environments, those types that questions aren't asked. Everyone's a yes, you know. And, you know, I think that for me, that's a pattern that was learned early on, you know, that can still continue for me, you know, where it's don't ask questions, you should know. You're going to look stupid, or, you know, it's like this whole, but it was passed down to me.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and work is a really good, you know, kind of pivot for this, what we're talking about, because I can't go into work and be completely vulnerable and have no armor on and crack myself wide open. And that's what I want to do. That is my instinct. My instinct is to go, oh, we're all human here. Let me go ahead and expose all of my flaws and show you. And let's all just be, you know, kumbaya. And that is actually harmful in a work environment. I am supposed to have a little bit of armor on. There is supposed to be some equilibrium. And, you know, maybe I've gotten to a place in my sobriety, my spirituality, I'm about to really put myself on a pedestal and just say, I don't want to wear armor to work anymore. I don't want to do it. Like, I want to be here. This is where I want to work. I want to be here and exposing myself and cracking myself open and make my living in a way where I'm just not great at putting on armor anymore, guys. I'm just not good at it.
Brene has entered the chat. This is like so Brene, you know, like I remember hearing her recently talking about, I don't know what it was. Maybe I was like scrolling on something. And she talks about, you know, she does a lot of work with, I'm very actually interested in her work. She does a lot of work with like military, I want to say, and like a lot of like CEO type people. And there was something that she said, like the CEO was going to come out to the investors and say, this project's not going to work. And she's like, no, why would you say that? And he's like, oh, because I want to be vulnerable. And she's like, no, that's not vulnerable. That's stupid. You know what I mean? I don't think she actually uses that language. Do you know what I mean?
She did. That'd be fabulous.
But it's like, no, you would tell your coach or advisors those worries that you have, but you wouldn't share it with your investors and then blow up the whole company.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like this thing of, it's like the extremes of like, and I do see what you're saying of like, it's like a more open, a more, you know, and that there is a right place to do certain things. You know what I mean?
Equanimity.
It's not that I'm like, it's exactly it, right? It's discernment, you know? I'm
Yeah.
not like,
There's no place today on earth where I'm going to be able to make a living where I don't wear any armor or any mask or have
yes.
to, do that. That's just not reality. And as much as it's like my inner child wants to just play, that's great. That's not really a thing. And I do have to have that equanimity.
Yes. And I think like at the core for me is that there's a level of connection with myself and authenticity, where it's not this, because Brene also, she's still in the chat. She talks about, this vulnerability. I think she talks about it with Simon Sinek, actually, who I love, by the way. They talk about this thing about being vulnerable online. And it's like, no, that's not vulnerable when you're sharing all your shit online, where it's just like in the ether. That's not vulnerable. Vulnerability is sharing it face to face with somebody, in person, where it's actual vulnerability. But sharing all your shit online, this huge thing, and thinking like, oh my God, you're so vulnerable and I so identify. Like, it's like they have a word for it that they've come up with, I think, both Simon and Brene, where it's just like, no, that's not being vulnerable.
It reminds me of being in your car and honking or something. Like you literally have an armor around you. So like you will do stuff that if you were, standing next to someone, you wouldn't honk at them. You wouldn't just yell.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. No, that's exactly it. It's a different energy, when I'm broadcasting something versus having an intimate conversation where it's like true vulnerability.
Right. Right.
I love that car analogy. You and your cars. I mean, you and your cars. I mean, this is.
We are growing. We are driving. We are getting cyber trucks. No, we're not.
We are driving. I almost think that there is an anniversary edition of the Grand Jeep Cherokee with the paneling. I actually do think that exists.
I bet you're right.
No joke. I think that exists.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. And that was my fear. It's not a good.
That was the fear. It wasn't a Volvo wagon with wood paneling.
No, it was that ugly one that they drove in National Lampoon's Vacation.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, that's what I'm going to be reduced to. And I'm going to be so uncool. And I'm going to be boring and glum. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'll be boring and glum.
Wait, I actually love this love thing that you shared with us today. I'm so grateful you heard that. I wonder if there's an acronym for aware. I'm just Googling real quick because I am aware. No, that's not correct. Advancing wellness and resilience in education. Oh no, that's part of something else.
Sam's trying. He's trying to find the perfect one.
We were really trying. It's not happening. I'm not attached. Okay.
Yeah.
So
let others evolve voluntarily. I just looked it up and that's what it is.
Let others
evolve. Wait, let others voluntarily evolve.
Voluntarily evolve. Yeah, I think, voluntarily evolve. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. It's really good for the Al-Anoners, I don't really suffer from the Al-Anon, but it does help me, I realize, with parenting for sure, because I am so blessed that I have a son that is interviewing for jobs and he will send me screenshots of what the people said and then say, this is what I want to reply back. And the cool part about this is, one, he's asking for my input. Two, he's already doing it himself. He's not asking me to do it. He's just looking for my approval. And unless it's something like really glaringly, grossly obvious, like there's so many nitpicky things I want to say, but I also want him to trust himself. So unless it's like really, really glaring, I just go, that is an amazing job. Great response.
Wow, that is... Have you ever gone to chapter 9?
I don't know what chapter 9 is.
I think it's called chapter 9. Chapter 9 is a group of people in program that I think it's the family afterward, where it's a meeting where one of the people in the couple need to be in program, any 12 step, and they use the steps for couples. But
I've heard of that, like the traditions. We did like couple meetings where the couples applied traditions to their
I think that's it. I think that's exactly it. But there are long timers that I see in long term relationships. Some are with a significant other in program or not. But anyway, it's coming up because this whole thing about you are working on yourself. You're connected with yourself, and you are able to have this, what I would say is a different conversation, a different relationship with your child than you had with your mother.
Yeah. And this is where the healing comes in, and this is where we divert from the tree, which could have gone, a certain way and twisted and bent and just kept going down that. And just me getting sober, I was able to change it, but really ACA has given me new tools. And like Dr. Becky talks about with the repair and everything, it is a little bit hard to not go, I wish I would have known this stuff sooner and could have applied it when he was 6 or 7 instead of right now at 23. But then again, at least, he's not going to get the download that I got when my mom passed away that says, oh, I missed it. Now I understand.
And according to Dr. Becky,
who's in a room with Marianne Williamson and Brene at this moment, somewhere in our mind. Yeah. And Glennon and Abby. Oh, they're having such a good time.
And then the sister can join.
She's improving.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. I love that. Our final 5.
All right.
Okay. I have a question.
Great.
What is something that I'm all about the split screen, So like, what is something that you like an awareness in early recovery versus an awareness today?
That's really good. Okay. Got it. I used to always, this is like, I want to say I had 16, 17 years of sobriety. And I ran around to everyone. They go, how are you doing? And I go, fabulous. And everybody loved it. I got such great response, except for some people would be like, you're fabulous. Like, oh, I'm not fabulous, And I just love those little insights into their dark world. And then I had people where I worked, the corporate and the security desk, just loved that I always said fabulous, right? And then I had a sponsor that she was like, how are you doing? Like, fabulous. She goes, you can do that with everybody else, but don't do it with me. And I was like, ooh, okay. Today, the awareness is that I don't tell everyone that unless I really mean it. I'm not running around behaving for their reaction. And whether it's my sponsor or the security guard at the building, I am a little more tapped into how I honestly feel when somebody asks me that. And that works for me. How about you?
I guess, oh God, there's a few things, but what's coming to my mind is like just 2 different sentences. So like, one, I guess in early program, it was just like, yes. Like, so whatever it was, I was just like, yes, you know what I mean? Because I was so gung-ho, I was so willing, and I was like, yes, yeah. It was like, I was doing 90 days, like, just try, like, I was, yes. And that continued.
Snorting up the program, just snorting.
I was snorting. I was going to show you my sash, and now it's more of a, can I get back to you? That's interesting, which is very different energy. And I'm not a hard yes. I'm not a hard no.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in that middle.
Mhm.
And then the further awareness of that actually today is how I can use that even as a like the non-committal, as like, no, but it's like pick a side, pick something, where I
Yes.
could use that for inaction and also procrastination. I mean, listen, I'm to the core, I will work any of these things and work it to the extreme where it's no longer serving,
Mhm.
where the
Yeah.
I've shared before, the structure becomes the straitjacket. So, yeah, that's the thing of just being, yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I love that one. That is really just so aware. You're so aware.
Oh my God, we're aware. I'm going to actually I'm going to bring this into another thing, and Brene will have to enter the chat with it probably, the acronym for aware, but we'll bring that to another episode. This has been incredible. Thank you, Misty.
Thank you, darling. And bitches, go call your sponsors.
Call your sponsor.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor. Call your.
Send us an email with comments, questions, or concerns, bcysponsor@gmail.com.
Don't forget to rate 5 stars.